My phone rang at 3 a.m., and when I picked up, my sister whispered, "You need to sit down. Mom sold the house, and she didn't tell you because she said you don't deserve to know." That was the moment everything I knew about my family shattered. I found out my childhood home was sold through a Facebook post. Not from my mom. Not from my sister. From a distant cousin who commented on a real estate listing saying, "Congrats on the sale," with a bunch of celebration emojis. I was 7,000 miles away in Kuwait, sitting in a tent between shifts, scrolling through my phone during one of my few moments of downtime. I saw the comment, didn't understand what it meant at first, then clicked through to see a real estate post showing the house I grew up in with a big red sold banner across the photos. My hands started shaking. I must have read that post 10 times, trying to make sense of it. The house had sold 3 weeks earlier. 3 weeks, and nobody had told me. I called my mom immediately. It was 2 a.m. her time, but I didn't care. The phone rang 6 times before she picked up, her voice groggy and confused. "Mom, did you sell the house?" There was a long pause. Too long. "Honey, I was going to tell you."
When?
"When were you going to tell me?" "I'm finding out on Facebook." She started crying. My mom never cries, or at least she never used to. She kept saying she was sorry, that it all happened so fast, that she didn't want to burden me while I was deployed. I hung up on her. I'm not proud of that, but I did. For the next 2 weeks, I was furious. That house was everything to me. Every important memory of my life happened inside those walls. My first day of school. Birthday parties in the backyard. My dad teaching me to ride a bike in the driveway. His funeral reception in the living room after he died when I was 16. That house was the last physical connection I had to my father, and my mom had sold it without even asking me, without even telling me, while I was halfway around the world serving my country. I didn't talk to her for those 2 weeks. I ignored her calls, left her texts on read. My sister Jessica kept messaging me, begging me to call Mom back, saying I didn't understand, that there was more to the story. But I didn't want to hear it. What explanation could possibly make this okay? Then I got an email from my mom's doctor. That's how I learned the truth. Not from my mom, not from my sister, but from a stranger's email with the subject line, "Regarding your mother's health status." My mom had given Dr. Patterson permission to contact me. The email was clinical and direct. My mom had been diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's disease 14 months earlier. She'd been hiding it from me the entire time I'd been deployed. The house sale wasn't a betrayal. It was survival. Let me go back and explain how we got here because I missed all the signs. I missed everything. I'm 31 years old now. I joined the Army right out of high school, did my initial service, got out for a few years, then re-enlisted 3 years ago. My current deployment started 11 months ago. It's a logistics support role, not combat, but it still means being away from home for 12-month stretches. My mom is 62. She's been on her own since my dad died 15 years ago. She worked as an elementary school teacher for 30 years, retired 5 years ago, with a decent pension. She's always been independent, capable, the kind of person who fixes her own leaky faucets and does her own taxes. My sister Jessica is 28. She lives about 40 minutes from Mom, works as a veterinary technician, has 2 kids under 5. We've always been close, the 3 of us. After Dad died, we became even tighter. We were all each other had. Before I deployed, everything seemed fine. I spent my last week home helping Mom with projects around the house. We painted the guest bedroom. I fixed a loose board on the back deck. We went through old photo albums one night, laughing at pictures of me and Jessica as kids. She seemed totally normal.
Sharp.
Funny. Maybe a little more forgetful than usual, but she was 61 at the time. I thought it was just normal aging. There were little things looking back now. She asked me the same question twice during dinner one night, about when my flight was leaving. She got confused about which day of the week it was. She couldn't remember the name of her neighbor's dog even though that dog had lived next door for 6 years. But I didn't think anything of it. People forget things. I forget things all the time. I deployed in January. For the first few months, we talked on the phone every week, video chatted when the internet was good enough. She'd tell me about her garden, about seeing Jessica and the kids, about her book club meetings. Everything seemed fine. Then around month 4, I started noticing changes in our conversations. She'd repeat stories she'd already told me. She'd forget we talked the previous week and ask me the same questions. One time she called me by my dad's name, then laughed it off like it was just a slip of the tongue. I mentioned it to Jessica during one of our calls. She got quiet for a moment, then said Mom had been a little more forgetful lately, but it was probably just stress. She said she was keeping an eye on it. I trusted that. Jessica lived close by. She saw Mom regularly. If something was seriously wrong, she'd tell me. Except she didn't. Because Mom had sworn her to secrecy. According to the email from Dr. Patterson, my mom had started noticing symptoms about 2 years ago. She'd forget appointments, lose her keys constantly, get confused while driving routes she'd taken 1,000 times. She tried to hide it, tried to compensate, making lists for everything, setting alarms on her phone. But it got worse. Last year, before I deployed, she got lost driving home from the grocery store. She ended up 30 miles away in a town she didn't recognize, had to call Jessica in a panic to come get her. That's when Jessica insisted she see a doctor. The diagnosis came 2 months before I deployed, early onset Alzheimer's disease, likely progressing faster than typical age-related cases. My mom made Jessica promise not to tell me. She didn't want to ruin my deployment, didn't want me worrying about her when I should be focused on my job and staying safe. She thought she could manage it, thought she had more time. She was wrong. Dr. Patterson's email explained that in the months after I deployed, my mom's condition deteriorated rapidly. She started having episodes of severe confusion. She'd forget to eat, forget to take her medications. She'd call Jessica at 3 a.m. thinking it was afternoon. One time she left the stove on and nearly started a fire. Jessica wanted to tell me. She wanted to bring me home. But Mom refused. She kept saying she was fine, that it was just a bad day, that tomorrow would be better. The house became dangerous for her. She couldn't manage the stairs safely anymore. She'd get confused about which room was which. The isolation of living alone was making everything worse. Jessica and her husband couldn't take Mom in. Their house was small, barely enough room for their own family. They looked into assisted living facilities, but the good ones cost $4,000 to $6,000 a month. Mom's pension and Social Security didn't cover that. The only asset my mom had was the house. The house I grew up in, fully paid off, worth about $280,000 in our market. So that's what she sold. Not because she wanted to, but because she had no choice. The money from the sale went into a trust to pay for her care. She moved into a memory care facility 20 minutes from Jessica's house. A nice place, according to the photos Dr. Patterson attached. But it cost $5,200 a month. The proceeds from the house would cover it for about 4 to 5 years, maybe longer if they were careful. I read that email 3 times, sitting in my tent, tears running down my face while my bunkmate pretended not to notice. My mom was sick, really sick. She'd been sick for over a year, and nobody told me because she was trying to protect me. And while she was declining, losing her memory, losing herself, I was over here obsessing about housing layouts and furniture placement, angry about losing a building made of wood and bricks. I called Jessica immediately. It was late afternoon her time. She answered on the first ring. "Did you talk to Dr. Patterson? Why didn't you tell me?" I could barely get the words out. "Why did you let me find out this way?" She started crying. "Mom made me promise. Every time I tried to bring it up, she'd beg me not to tell you. She said you had enough to worry about. She said she'd be fine until you got home. But she's not fine." "No, she's not fine." Jessica told me everything. How Mom's good days were becoming rarer. How she'd forgotten Jessica's kids' names last week. How she'd asked about Dad multiple times, forgetting he'd been gone for 15 years. How the decision to sell the house had been agonizing. How Mom had cried for days about it. She kept saying she was taking away your home, Jessica said. That you'd hate her for it. I told her you'd understand, but she was so scared. She wanted to tell you herself, but then her confusion got worse and the sale happened fast and... Her voice trailed off. "Can I talk to her?" I asked. "You can try. Sometimes she's lucid in the mornings." But lately, Jessica paused. She might not remember you called. Or she might think Dad's still alive. Or she might be perfectly herself. It changes hour by hour. I called the facility. A nurse answered, kind voice, told me she'd bring the phone to my mom's room. I could hear muffled sounds in the background, footsteps, a door opening. Then my mom's voice. Hello. Mom? It's me. It's Chris. Silence for a moment. Then, Christopher? Where are you, honey? Are you still at school? My heart broke. I haven't been in school in 13 years. I'm deployed, Mom. I'm in Kuwait.
Oh.
She sounded confused. When did you leave? January. Almost a year ago. That long? It doesn't seem that long.
She paused.
Your father will be so proud when you get home. He's always talking about you joining the military. I closed my eyes. The nurse had warned me this might happen. Mom, I need to tell you something. I'm not mad about the house. Do you understand? I'm not mad. What house? Our house. The house you sold. Another long pause. I sold a house? When did I sell the house? I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep having this conversation, reminding her of things she couldn't remember, watching her confused and scared on the other end of the line. Never mind, Mom. I just wanted to tell you I love you. I love you too, sweetie. When are you coming home?
Soon.
I'll be home soon.
Good.
I'll make your favorite dinner. The pot roast with the little potatoes. She hasn't made pot roast in 3 years. But I didn't correct her. That sounds perfect, Mom. I can't wait. After we hung up, I sat there for an hour, just staring at nothing. Other soldiers walked by, went about their business, and I couldn't move. I felt like I'd been hollowed out. I requested emergency leave immediately. My commanding officer approved it within 24 hours. 2 days later, I was on a transport plane heading back to the States. Jessica picked me up from the airport. We drove straight to the memory care facility. It was a nice building, newer construction, well-maintained grounds. Nothing like the depressing nursing home stereotypes. But it still felt wrong. This wasn't home. This wasn't our kitchen table, where we'd eaten thousands of meals as a family. Mom was in the common area, sitting by a window. She looked smaller than I remembered.
Thinner.
Her hair was completely gray now. Had that happened in just 11 months? She was wearing clothes I didn't recognize, probably bought by Jessica, because Mom couldn't shop for herself anymore. I walked up to her slowly. Hey, Mom. She looked up at me, and for a moment, there was no recognition in her eyes. My stomach dropped. Then something clicked, and she smiled. Chris, when did you get so tall? I'm 6 feet 2 inches. I've been this height since I was 17. I've been tall for a while now, I said gently, sitting down next to her. I suppose you have. She looked at me more closely. You're in the army now, aren't you? Yes, ma'am. Have been for a long time. Your father was so proud when you enlisted. He told everyone at work. I didn't correct her about Dad being gone. The nurse had told me not to, said it just upset her to relearn it every time. How are you doing, Mom? Are they treating you well here? Oh, it's fine. The food's not as good as home cooking, but it's fine. She looked around, suddenly confused. Where is home? I can't quite remember. I took her hand. It felt so fragile, like paper. You're safe here, Mom. Jessica visits all the time. I'm here now too. Jessica. She smiled. My daughter. She has babies now, doesn't she?
2 of them.
Your grandkids. Maya and Connor. Such pretty names. She looked at me again, and this time her eyes were clearer. I sold a house, didn't I? My breath caught.
Yes.
You did. You must be so angry with me.
No, Mom.
I'm not angry. It was your home. It was all we had left of your father. Tears started rolling down her face. I tried so hard to keep it. I tried to hold on, but I couldn't. I couldn't remember things anymore. Jessica said I had to. Mom, listen to me. I squeezed her hand gently. You did the right thing. Do you hear me? You did exactly the right thing. I don't care about the house. I care about you being safe and taken care of. But all your father's things, Jessica saved the important stuff. Photo albums, Dad's watch, his tools. She has all of it. Mom nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. I wanted to tell you myself. I practiced what I'd say. But then I'd forget I needed to call you. Or I'd forget you were deployed.
Or.
She trailed off, looking lost again. We sat together for an hour. Sometimes she knew who I was. Sometimes she called me by my father's name. Sometimes she asked questions she'd asked 5 minutes earlier. I answered every one patiently, like it was the first time. When I finally left, she asked when I'd visit again. I told her tomorrow. She said she'd look forward to it.
The nurse walked me out.
She has good moments and bad moments, she said. Today was actually one of her better days. I couldn't imagine what a bad day looked like. That evening, I went to Jessica's house. After her kids went to bed, we sat at her kitchen table and she showed me everything. A folder full of medical records, bank statements, legal documents related to the house sale. She'd handled everything. All of it. While working full-time and raising 2 small children, she'd managed Mom's entire medical crisis, sold the house, moved Mom into care, set up the trust, dealt with lawyers and doctors and real estate agents. Why didn't you call me home sooner? I asked. You shouldn't have done all this alone. Mom begged me not to. Every single day. She'd say, don't tell Christopher. He has important work. He needs to focus. He'll just worry. Jessica rubbed her eyes. And honestly, I thought I could handle it. I thought it wouldn't get this bad this fast. But Alzheimer's doesn't care what you think. She showed me the documents from the house sale. Every penny had gone into Mom's care fund. Jessica hadn't taken anything. She'd even used her own money to hire movers and store the furniture they'd saved. I kept Dad's workshop tools, she said. And his book collection. Mom's china cabinet. Your old bedroom furniture. It's all in a storage unit. I'm paying for it month to month until you're back permanently, and we can figure out what to do with it. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Because you're right. That stuff matters. Not more than Mom's health, but it still matters. We shouldn't lose everything. I stayed for 3 weeks. I visited Mom every day. Some days she knew me immediately. Other days I was a stranger, or her husband, or her father. I learned to meet her where she was, to not correct her when she got confused, to just be present. I drove by the old house one afternoon. I parked across the street and just looked at it. New owners had already moved in. There were different curtains in the windows. A new mailbox. A child's bike in the driveway. It looked happy.
Alive.
Like a home. And I realized something sitting there. The house was never the point. The building, the address, the physical structure, that wasn't what mattered. What mattered was that in that house, my dad taught me how to tie my shoes. My mom read me bedtime stories every night until I was too old to admit I still wanted them. My sister and I played elaborate imaginary games in the backyard. We celebrated every holiday, every milestone, every ordinary Tuesday night dinner. Those memories didn't live in the walls. They lived in me, in Jessica, in the photo albums and stories and inside jokes that made up our family. My mom hadn't taken that away by selling the house. She'd made the only choice she had left to keep herself safe and cared for. And if anything, that was the most mom thing she could have done, sacrificing the past to protect her future, even when she could barely understand what future meant anymore. Before I flew back to finish my deployment, I sat with Mom one more time. It was a good day. She knew who I was, knew where she was, could follow the conversation. I'm sorry about the house, she said again. I know it meant a lot to you. Mom, can I tell you something? Of course. That house was just a building. You're my home. You and Jessica, and the family we are together. That doesn't change no matter where we live. She started crying. When did you get so wise? I learned from you. She squeezed my hand. Your father would be proud of the man you've become. I hope so. I know so. She smiled, and for a moment, she looked exactly like herself again. Thank you for not being angry with me. I could never be angry with you, Mom. Not about this. Not about anything. I finished my deployment 4 months later. When I got home permanently, Jessica and I cleaned out the storage unit together. We divided up Dad's things, donated what we didn't need, kept what mattered. I took Dad's tools and his favorite reading chair. Jessica took Mom's china and the family photo albums. We split up the furniture we'd grown up with, trying to preserve pieces of our childhood in our separate lives. I found something in one of the boxes that broke me all over again. A letter Mom had written months earlier, during one of her lucid periods. It was addressed to me, sealed in an envelope with my name on it. The handwriting was shaky, but readable. It said, "Christopher, if you're reading this, then I've probably already forgotten I wrote it. I want you to know that selling the house was the hardest decision of my life. That house was where we raised you and Jessica, where your father lived and died, where we were a family, but I can't live there anymore. I get confused. I get scared. Jessica has her own family to take care of. This is the only way I can keep myself safe without being a burden to anyone. I know you'll be upset. I know you'll feel like I've taken something from you. But please understand, I didn't have a choice. And I need you to promise me something. When I'm gone, when this disease has taken everything from me, I need you to remember who I was before. Remember the mom who packed your lunch every day, who came to every school play, who held you when your father died and told you everything would be okay.
That's who I am.
Not this person who forgets your name or thinks your father's still alive. Promise me you'll remember. I love you more than you'll ever know."
Mom.
I sat in that storage unit and cried for half an hour. Jessica found me there, read the letter, and cried with me. That was 2 years ago. Mom's still in the memory care facility. She doesn't remember me most days now. She rarely has lucid moments anymore. She thinks she's a teenager sometimes, or a young mother, or a teacher back at her school. Jessica and I visit regularly. We bring the grandkids, even though Mom doesn't really know who they are. We show her photos and tell her stories about the family she can't remember. Sometimes I think about how angry I was when I first found out about the house. How betrayed I felt. How stupid that seems now. The house is gone. But my mom did it for the right reasons, even as her mind was failing her. She did it to survive, to stay safe, to not be a burden. She did it with whatever scraps of clarity she had left. And that letter she wrote me, the one telling me to remember who she was before, that's what I hold on to now. Not the house, not the furniture. The memory of the woman who raised me, who loved me, who sacrificed for me even when her own mind was turning against her. Real estate can be sold. Houses can be replaced. But the love of a mother who fights to protect her children even as she's losing herself? That's permanent. That's the inheritance that actually matters. The house is gone. But everything I truly needed from it, I still carry with me. And that's enough.